Yo, 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 what's up, everybody? Thank you for tuning in to yet again another fantastic indie creator interview. It's your Cape Crusader Cody, and we're keeping it geekly with our new guest, Jessi, Sheron. We're here to break down The Other Happy Place, Chapter 0, and everything in between. Jessi, welcome to the stream. How are you doing tonight?
I'm doing really good. Thank you for having me. I'm really excited to be here.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for the opportunity to check this out. It is... Holy crap. I don't know how to describe it. It's like an art book meets like, some prose meets some poetry, a little bit of everything. And it was just so visually striking. I thank you for the opportunity. It's gorgeous.
Thank you. Yeah, it's so Chapter 0 it's a cosmic horror story. And Chapter 0, I kind of want to be a sampling of the whole project. So you're really getting a vibe of like my entire vision of what I want it to be. But there's a lot of things about the animals in the world, the buildings, the way the entities and people are messing with you. I really want it to be a beautiful book by itself already, but I think it's going to be pretty fun because it's going to have some stuff even my readers don't know about yet. I have some original story elements going in there too, so I'm really excited about that.
Awesome, and we're going to be diving into a little bit more of that in just a little bit, but before we do, real quick, let's start with a basic introduction to who you are and how you got into, creating, art books and comics of this nature.
Sure. Well, like I said, I'm Jessi. I've been drawing in general seriously since I was 13. And I saw somebody in front of me, a girl was reading a Sailor Moon manga. And I said, "What is that?" And she said, "It's a comic." And I said, "Is that for girls?" And she said, "Yeah." And a girl made it. And I was like, girls can make comics for girls and that's a job you can do. I got so excited. So I was like, so my mind was blown. I immediately was like laser focused on that being the only thing I wanted to do, and didn't give up. So I went to school for it. And I did graduate during that whole 2008 crash. So there weren't any art jobs, but I kept at it. And because it was always my dream. So I would, work at being a waitress, come home, draw the comics until 2 a.m. But probably my big break was in 2013, I got selected to work for Mattel. I got to do some, I actually can be a little weird. Hang on. Yeah. So I did books for Monster High.
Hold on 1 second. Let me go ahead and
I don't know if you can even see it because of the stupid background, but I did books for Monster High. Nope, you can't see it. Hold on. But I did the books for Monster High. I did some work for Barbie. I did work for Ever After High. I did a whole graphic novel for Ever After High. And I also did some stuff for Shopkins. And I think I did a little bit for Lego. But so that was all toy stuff. And
that's so cool, though. That is
I really liked it.
Especially how did that
Monster High,
happen?
because it was like a good mix of girly and scary. And that was really fun for me.
So how'd you end up like getting involved with that?
Well, so this is why I always tell artists, like, tag and post a lot because people are out there looking. So what had happened was I had wanted to work for Mattel. I had a goal of approaching them. I didn't have any idea of how to do this. So my goal was, I was like, well, I know every year they do an exhibit at New York Comic Con and San Diego Comic Con. Because they always have the toys, and the toys are exclusive at those conventions, and they're worth like hundreds of dollars. And of course, the designers are there. So I was like, okay, I'm going to make a tailor-made, perfect portfolio. I'm going to go to Comic-Con. I'm going to walk up to their booth, and I'm just going to open it in front of them and be like, look, let me work for you. So I made like all these pieces that I was like very polished fan art, but really what I was trying to do was make a tailored portfolio. So I posted those all online and I tagged them like Monster High, whatever. And then I went away to hike the Appalachian Trail, as one does. Cause I was like, well, by the time I'm done hiking it, it'll be convention time and I'll just go. I ended up making it only halfway up that Appalachian Trail. I walked from Georgia to Pennsylvania. I checked my email when I had signal and I saw somebody go, "Hey, would you like to work for us and draw Monster High work?" And I went, that sounds way better than being outside. Let me come inside away from the ticks and mosquitoes and draw monster girls. And then that's where that started.
I had to run halfway down the Appalachian Trail back home.
I was done hiking. It was enough.
Real quick, we have Callisto Chan. Sorry if I mispronounced that, saying, "Oh, it's a green screen." I was going to say I didn't know Jessi had a piano, and then
oh, I wish. No, it's a green screen.
Ashen Vein Gate, the true appearance of Jessi's lair remains a mystery.
It's because there is a giant pile of books and laundry behind me, so you can use your imagination to see all the art books and laundry.
So working on Monster High, that is such an awesome experience. My daughter is obsessed with them.
Came back, Gen 3.
Yeah. So was that your main goal? Like when you went to go approach them, you said?
So that was my main goal. I wanted to get in any way possible, and I was like, I feel like I'm a good fit. And what happens when a company approaches you like that, they usually want you to do a series of tests, and tests are not quite the same as like a school test, but they want to see if you can take direction and do what they want, and if you can draw in the house style, which thankfully I had a knack for it. I was pretty good at adapting my art to different circumstances, which is why people tend to be really surprised when they see my horror art or they only see my girly art, and then they're like, what? How is this possible you're doing? And I'm like, it's a skill. You can really learn to like tailor how you draw to different jobs. It takes a while to figure out how you do it, because so I passed the tests, but I'm really passionate about comics and storytelling. So literally, I think just about every month I would send the person I was corresponding with the most a message being like, hey, just letting you know, I know how to draw comics. If you ever want to do like a comic with Monster High or Ever After High. And they did do comic with Monster High, but it wasn't me. And I was like, my heart broken. But then they approached me with the fairy tale one, and I was like, yes. So, and that worked out. So it was all good.
You said you worked with Lego as well?
I did one tiny job, just like with Barbie. It's like a lot of times when what is called an asset illustrator. So an asset illustrator, like you make a bunch of art and then they put it in different things. So a lot of times when you're an asset illustrator, you can make something and then it can disappear into the ether, or it can end up on the end of a pencil. So it's like, I couldn't point out anything I did that you'd be like, wow, there it is. It would be like, the background character B in like episode 8 looks different. Like, yeah, it's not anything you would know. But the stuff I've done more prevalently, like I've drawn several Shopkins books. I've drawn several Ever After High books. I've drawn a couple of Monster High books. Those were all the things I did for other people. And then while I was doing that, I really was like very happy, because I was like, wow, I'm finally doing my goal of my job. I'm making money and people are saying my work is good enough. That was really cool. But that wasn't really what 13-year-old Jessi wanted to do. I wanted to be the one making the story and the art, and I wanted to be interacting with the fans and readers in a different way than that. And I was like, all right, so I'm going to start making my own webcomic. I have made smaller ones before, but nobody really cared. Which just happens. Like, that's why I tell people, don't be discouraged when you start and like no one reads your first couple comics. Sometimes it just takes a little while. Keep posting. That's how they found me. I'm sorry, I got distracted.
Oh no, you're fine.
How they found me was I had been tagging all of my art, and an art director saw the art because she was looking in the hashtags. That's why I'm like, always tell young artists, I'm like, post frequently as much as you can without tiring yourself out. It's okay to repost old art. Tag it and make it easy to find, because you never know who's looking. Someone important could be looking, and then you're there ready with your platter, like, who wants snacks? And you're like,
yes,
it's like,
yes.
somebody has to be there at the right time, and it might be you. So like, that's how it's one of those tips that sounds fake. It's like, oh, just keep at it.
You're 100% right.
You're gonna win. Just keep going.
We were talking backstage about video games, and I posted this clip from God of War Ragnarok, and I had the narrative director like it, and he was like, this was one of my favorite scenes too, and I was like,
that's so cool.
Yeah, I wanted to be like, hey, if you ever want to like come chat, but I didn't want to be that guy, but I wanted to be that guy. Like, but you're 100% right. Like, using that hashtag, you have nothing to lose but a couple characters, right?
Yeah, and I always kind of think of it as a video game too. Like, I think of the internet and like social media presence as kind of a game. I'm like, all right, what time you start developing strategies? Like, okay, this time of day is no good, but this time of day is great. So I'm getting a lot of points when people like it. Like, I literally picture like coins and like hearts and stuff in my head, like when things are going well. But yeah. So then I made the CNU, which was a webcomic. And with the webcomic, it is about a goth girl who becomes friends with a deadly man-eating mermaid, and their friendship that forms.
It's a good friend to have, though. You know, you don't want that as an enemy, I would say, right?
Yeah, this in the story, the main character is named Corinth, the human girl, and she has a very bad boyfriend. And the mermaid who eats people is not into him, and that's where a lot of the conflict comes in. So, but yeah, so that book is actually coming out very soon too. So, but that was probably my first personal break so far. So I really feel like my career is just starting to take off. Like all of this has happened fairly recently, so I'm like, let's go, let's ride the wave.
Is that Amazon link right there, the CU for the pre-order? Okay, so everyone watching, right here is a link to check that out. Be sure to pre-order, and if you're not able to, you know, put it on Facebook, put it on Twitter. Word of mouth is 100% free. Speaking of that, we are here to talk about another awesome self-published project, The Other Happy Place Chapter 0. Let me go ahead and get a link for this as well, guys. And if you're able to back this, we would love to see that. But once again, simply putting this on Facebook and Twitter is 100% free, and getting as many eyes on this project as possible is what we're trying to do, and it is absolutely gorgeous. So Jessi, tell us a little bit about this. I mean, it's just so visually striking. You know, I noticed right away you know, the usage of like black and white, and then when you use color, it's just like so vibrant. You know, is there any special symbolism behind that?
So literally the entire project is like super mega personal. So it's always really exciting when people are responding to it, but it always feels a little funny because for me with my fiction, it's even more personal than a journal a lot of times. Like I'm showing you my inner heart, but with abstractions. So it's like when people respond to it and really like it, it's like, wow, everyone really likes my diary. But yeah, so The Other Happy Place is a cosmic horror story about these entities from another dimension, let's say, and they are very insidious, but their ostensive goal is to make us very happy. Unfortunately, what that might mean to them and to us is pretty different. So a lot of the symbolism in the story, for instance, okay, the world that The Other Happy Place takes place in is all grayscale. That's literally how the world works. Things that go there become grayscale. But things that are imbued with power or touched or even directly influenced by the entities themselves have color. Those butterflies are like the symbols of the entities themselves. So the two main symbols that show up in the art a lot are centipedes and butterflies. They're both the same being.
Okay.
At least in an abstract way, I would almost say like one is the truth and one is how they feel about themselves, and or one is how they really are and one is how they want to present themselves to the world. So to me, the beauty of a butterfly represents like false promises or bad intentions hidden with beauty. And centipedes I just have always found very frightening. They're literally perfect little predator beings. They're like you know how like a great white shark is like perfectly evolved to be a hunting killing machine, and that's like all it does is just an arrow of death to like eat meat. Of course there's more to them than that, but they have that look, right? But like centipedes are really similar. They're like armored, low, spiky, poisonous little creatures, and they're fast, and they're mandatory carnivores. They pretty much just eat meat and other animals,
and so many legs too. Many legs, so unnecessary amount.
Yeah, they have a lot of legs. What I was always scared of them was I was always really scared that they would burrow into my body. I don't know why. I think I had a nightmare about it. They don't do that. They can't burrow. They'll bite you, but they can't burrow. But I was like, wouldn't it be awful if they could? And also they were choosing to do that, and they were mean. So I started like kind of wheeling my I usually start with a bad feeling and then kind of pull and play with it until it becomes a fun toy. So I'm like, I really love body horror. That's probably one of my favorite genres of horror outside of cosmic horror. And body horror is a lot about like the loss of personal autonomy and like your body changing without you wanting it to. I have chronic illness, and like I have a celiac disease and like stomach, very, 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 very bad chronic stomach pain and other problems, autoimmune stuff. And it's a lot of like your body betraying you, like in ways that is not fair. Like I said, with my tooth breaking, like I brush my teeth all the time, I floss all the time, but hey, celiac makes your teeth brittle. What are you gonna do? But what I like about horror is you can take these bad feelings and bad experiences, and you don't really remove the power. It's like you get to play with the bad feeling now. It's like,
Mm-hmm.
so you suffered through it. Now you get to play with it. That's like, it's like,
So it's
almost a prize for having
you almost get to take it like and manipulate it into your own like whatever you want with it, right? Like you get to justify what you went through and make something of it. No, I get that. Like, I love just the pivot from Monster High to body horror like type of art. It's two different extremes.
Oh my gosh, it's so funny too, because even in the art I pitched to Monster High, I definitely was like squeezing in a little bit of body horror. Like I was drawing Frankie Stein, the main girl, the green girl, but I was always drawing her like dismembered and like sewing her body parts back on. And thinking about it, it's because I'm always sick and like pasting myself back together. So I liked her, like she's literally falling apart, but she has a good attitude about it and is like, no, I'll fix it. It's fine. I'm used to this.
And like, Mattel's like, yo, Jessi, we're trying to advertise to little children. Like,
yeah, they always want me to tone it down a tiny bit. And I was like, all right. So I was always drawing things a little too scary and a little too gay, but so it's not my fault.
What type of routine do you have to get yourself in the mindset to create art? Do you have any sort of like special playlist you like to listen to, or any media that you like to consume?
Yeah, so I have a couple things I really like to do. So when I'm drawing and writing, I can't listen to music with words because my brain is pulled to the words. But so I tend to really like driving techno, like electronic music that just sounds kind of like video game background music, where it's like I'm on a quest and I'm hunting down my enemy. That's when I'm like actively thinking. But like when I'm like in the zone and I'm like, I'm drawing and like I'm getting to that headspace, I love listening to horror podcasts. I love the podcast lot. I'm very sorry. My bird is
you're fine.
loud.
You're fine. I got two cats that you might see them pop out. They might meow. So, same thing on my end.
I have a parrot. Hold on. I'm shutting the door because he's going to keep trying to talk. He's like, I hear you in there.
Real quick, we have Ashen Vein Gate. I'm living for this deep dive into Jessi's process. Absolutely. That's what, I love to try to do, is give listeners a real good perspective on who we're talking about before we dive into the campaign, so you get a good idea of the creator before we see the book. So go ahead. Sorry.
I completely forgot what we were saying because the bird distracted me.
I forgot too. So I was like saying sorry in the hopes that you remembered.
I remember.
The process. Yes. Yep. Chatty pets. My cat is super, super chatty, like to a point where I can walk into a room and he'll just chirp. And I'm like, hey, like that. We have our own like little language. So like chatty animals are like my thing.
Yeah. He's my little buddy. He's upset because he likes to sit on my shoulder while I'm working, but I'm like, that will not work during an interview. Maybe like a very like light interview or like, yeah. But he's a 21-year-old sun conure and he is very boisterous.
Wow. What's his name?
Ivan the Terrible.
I love it. My cat's name is Miggy after Parasite, the anime where yep.
Miggy, yes, the left hand. I love that one. That was really good. I was really into the part with the teacher who was possessed by the parasite aliens, and then she got pregnant, and the alien isn't in the baby, and she's like developing human feelings. I was like, whoa, it was mind-blowing. I loved it.
I see that at Walmart. They just came out with, I just picked up the color collection of Parasite. So like they did the whole thing. Yes, they did the whole thing in color and it looks gorgeous.
I might have to go get it.
Yes. You mentioned body horror.
And I'm like,
So speaking of that, let's get back into the art process. Yeah. So you like to listen to a lot of like high beat techno. Is there anything else? I mean, do you like to watch any like horror movies or series?
So when I'm drawing scary things, a lot of times I'll put on a similar genre. Like I've been really into the movie Midnight Meat Train lately. Have you ever seen Midnight Meat Train? It's a Clive Barker movie.
It sounds good.
Whack. It's really good, and like no one ever believes me, but it even starred someone really famous. Hold on, I'm gonna tell you.
Is it about the dude he like kills people and he grows scales underneath his shirt?
Yeah.
Okay, I listened to there's a dude on YouTube I listen to who like will like give analytical breakdowns of horror movies, like a 10-minute breakdown. Found Flicks, I think, is his name or something like that. And like I listened to that. Yes, it sounds awesome. The dude's name, he's Bradley always like
Cooper.
Yes, and the other guy is like a mobster looking dude, right? Yes.
he's a famous character actor too. Like, it was really funny because this movie, it flopped real hard. It made no money.
It's brutal though, the concept.
The title, I really love the title though, because I think it sounds like Teenage Wasteland. Teenage Wasteland. Midnight Meat Train. Anyway, so I but yeah, I like to watch a lot of horror. I love anything cosmic horror. But there's not a lot of good Lovecraft movies, which is kind of a bummer. But like I tend to try to find anything in that wheelhouse. But I've noticed a lot of people more recently are like kind of taking Lovecraft ideas and making them really funky and original. Like I've been really into this movie Glorious on Shudder, and it all takes place in a gas station bathroom. And the main character is stuck in the gas station bathroom with a interdimensional being who is like, hey, you have to do something for me or the whole world is going to end. And it is so good and so wild. It's one of those bottle movies where the location is really small, but the concepts were so big and interesting. I really love it when somebody runs with a really wild concept. I think that's cool. I really like that about horror in general, because I feel like a lot of times people, when you're telling a story, you think, I have to tell it about a certain kind of person. They have to be a certain level of like good. They have to make it to the end. But like in a horror story, like heck, all the way back with Psycho, they killed the leading actress like 40 minutes into the movie. After you spent all this time with her and her backstory and getting to know her and her struggles. It wasn't even like Scream where you see Drew Barrymore for 7 minutes, right? No, you spent a lot of time with that girl. So I remember being fascinated by how horror can really go in a completely different direction at any time. But that's why I like Midnight Meat Train, because it's a wild, weird movie. You think it's going to be about just a serial killer on a train, and then there's this whole conspiracy underworld plot.
Yes.
Beings and the city is in on it, and I'm just like, this is the most high concept thing, and you named it Midnight Meat Train. But that kind of makes me love horror even more though, because it's kind of like they kind of thumb their nose at conventional ideas of even like appealing or like marketability. Sometimes it's like, no, this is gonna be weird. The weird people will like it. Like I love that.
So but I mean, I think right now, let's go ahead and let's look at something that is an idea that just got ran with as well, and that's your own book on Zoop. So let's pull up the campaign and check out some of these tiers and talk about what we're here to talk about tonight. So give me 1 second. We'll add this to right here. So go ahead.
I was just going to say, I don't know if you can show more art on the stream, but I'm just going to send you a little link in the chat if you wanted to see more pictures proper, because like on the campaign page all the little thumbnails are small, but if I just sent you a link of like a whole bunch of concept art, so you can click on any of those and see like.
Let's go ahead and check out some of this art too. So this isn't on the Zoop. Holy crap, I just love like how dark it is. It's so what's going on in here? Like, visually we can see what's happening, but like what's the symbolism within this, because it seems like there's something here.
So with a lot of the pictures I'm currently doing, I'm really into the idea of, there's a French term called the call of the void. And it's this idea that like if you're standing on a bridge, you want to jump, not necessarily out of like a self-destructive impulse, but it's like an old weird instinct where your brain is like, what'll happen? And you don't want to do it, and you feel this weird push-pull. And I find that really fascinating in horror. So with a lot of pieces like with this is like a place underneath the city. There's these endless mazes of tunnels, and there's creatures and things that live down there, and characters can utilize them to get from place to place, but it's not good to go down there. Like it's not full of water. You can even see there's like handprints where somebody didn't make it. But do you see how the composition is supposed to be kind of like pulling you forward and up? I want that feeling of like pull, because the main characters in my story, and in a lot of cosmic horror I really love, they have this feeling of inevitable curiosity, inescapable curiosity. Like to the point of compulsion, right? It's like you don't want to read the Necronomicon. What is going to be in there that's good? It's the Book of the Dead. It's going to summon a weird evil god.
It's made out of skin, though. You got to read it.
But don't you kind of want to read it, right? So, like, I really want to evoke that feeling in a lot of these pictures. So this one's a little vague. It's there's something bad at the top of the stairs.
You know, I can already tell, like, the way this like trails off, like right here too. Like it's like perfect.
Thank you.
Going all the way up, and then like right here it breaks off. It's like, well, why did that happen? Like, you know.
I like to put in little environmental things like that are just different enough that make you go, like the handprints on the wall and the way that deviates. It's like, is something being dragged? Is something being poured? And it's just enough to make you wonder. I like it when a scary picture, I obviously, as the story goes on, I want to get more and more like visceral, evocative horror, nightmarish horror. But at the beginning of the story, I want you to be intrigued and pulled in, kind of an Alice in Wonderland feeling again, or like going into the wardrobe, into Narnia. Like, it wouldn't work if you didn't kind of want to go. Like, that's what I'm going for. But like, I've been looking at a lot of these old compositions where it's like very pulls you deeper and deeper into the picture.
You would really like Dead Space.
Again, but like, just very slightly different idea. You can see somebody struggling in the water. So.
Go ahead.
I was just saying that sometimes I'll just post variations. That's Vinnie, the main character that you see down there. She hasn't been in any of the Scary Pictures proper yet. I just really like drawing her because I think she's pretty.
I was saying earlier though, Dead Space. It's a game, a body horror game. You would love it. Holy crap! It's like visceral, gory. It, like, you know, the people are getting infected. They're ripping, like slashers are ripping out of their arms and everything. It's crazy. This is what I'm talking. Like, I remember seeing some of this art and just being like, holy crap. You know, you have the bloody hands, just the centipede, and then the butterfly coming out of the head. Just gorgeous.
Thank you. That's my main guy, Mr. Smiles. He's probably my most popular character in the story. He's probably our main antagonist that we get to interact with the most. So he's kind of like your charming showman who's trying to kind of get you to join in, and you're gonna love it. You're gonna love being so happy. I know I don't have a top of my head, but I love it. You're gonna love it. It's like, you don't have a brain and eyes anymore. It's just spider legs and centipedes. No, it's great. You're gonna love it.
So real quick,
this like salesman feeling almost.
We have a Callisto Chan. If someone says, I really like The Other Happy Place, do you know anything else like that? What sort of stuff, book, movies, podcasts would you recommend?
Ooh, okay. So basically, I mean, the canon of H.P. Lovecraft, and of course he's problematic, but like not all of his stories were, and he grew as a person, but I understand when people don't like him. It makes sense. He was quite bigoted, but his stories could be very good. My favorite was Dreams in the Witch House by him. But if we're going to go away from that, let's go away from that. I'm going to tell you some ones I actually really like that are new. So I really love this one called From Beyond. It is very silly. It is an 80s movie, but it stars Barbara Crampton and Jeffrey Combs, both like huge horror icons. And that one is about a scientist who has a machine that, when it's turned on, allows you to feel frequencies that let you see into another dimension. Love it. Hellraiser 2, the second one, I think is really good, because it has, again, a very similar kind of conceit of like a person opens a doorway and things come in or you go through, but you might not like what comes in or out. And I loved Hellraiser 2 is like really underrated because the first one is such a perfect horror film, but the second one is so weird and so committed to its ideas. Like, you see a giant prism god like floating in the sky, and it shoots out beams of darkness that make you experience the sins you inflicted on other people. Like, that is so metal and high concept. Anyway, so I really Hellraiser 2, From Beyond. The Del Toro show that just came out.
Pinocchio?
What was it? What was it?
Or didn't he do Pinocchio though?
Cabinet of Curiosities. Cabinet.
I might be wrong. I could have sworn he did Pinocchio. That might have been a totally different one.
He was very busy this year.
Yes.
Pinocchio, but earlier before that, he had a limited horror series called Cabinet of Curiosities. And there is an episode called The Autopsy. It's an hour long, and that one is like very Other Happy Place core. I really like that one. But yeah, like there's a lot of like cosmic horror in general, I really dig. I listen to a lot of like the No Sleep podcast. I love Clive Barker. Even like some Stephen King stuff gets into cosmic horror. Like It is really a cosmic horror story. It's an interdimensional being.
Yeah.
It just happens to be showing itself in the form of a clown, but like that's not really what it is. So, but that was probably one of my favorites too, just because the characters are so well done.
It's like the end of the book too, when he turns into a huge ass spider.
Big
like,
spider.
yes, it was totally, yeah, wild. Real quick though, I love too just how, you know, even if they don't have eyes and a brain, they have this ominous looking smirk. It's so devious looking.
That's Madame Quirk. So I try really hard to make their smiles like have a certain sinisterness to them. It's really hard when you get rid of like this much of the face to like really still make the character like emotional and evocative. But I kind of find that to be an interesting and fun challenge more than like a frustration. So you end up like thinking a lot more about the tilt of their head and like the way they hold their back, like their posture and their clothing and like their hand movements. So it's like when you remove one element, you have to like make up for it in other ways. But it had so much mystery to get rid of the eyes. I believe I learned that from Geiger from Alien, because the original xenomorphs, they don't have eyes at all. And he was like, when you look at something in the eyes, you can get a read for it. And even an animal that's trying to kill you, like a bear or a tiger, or you can understand that in a thinky way, because it's like, well, everything's got to eat. But with something without eyes and it doesn't need to eat, it's like, why are you messing with me? It must be for a different reason. So it becomes very mysterious. So that's some of my thought process behind the not having eyes. So.
No, I love that. So real quick, guys, right here is the campaign. Let's go ahead and give this a look over. The Other Happy Place, Chapter 0. Currently at $5,837 of a $5,000 goal. 131 supporters and 30 days left to go. Literally just went live today. And already funded. Congratulations, everyone that is watching. Right here is the link. Be sure to check this out with us. We have Kamorian King saying beautiful work, throwing some hearts in chat. How are you feeling about funding right out, like pretty much right out the gate?
I'm really happy that people like the project, because this probably means more to me than anything I've worked on in years. I haven't been having, like I said, it's very personal. It's like all of my fears and all of my personal tastes is in it. So the fact that people are responding to it so strongly is it's very warm. It's such a nice feeling. I love the horror community so much. Like, it's so funny because we all like such scary things. You think we're going to be like such a mean crowd. But have you ever hung out with like metalheads? You seem like you like metal. You like metal?
Oh, yeah. They seem like sacrificing stuff, but they're petting kittens. Like,
and then they're all the sweetest, nicest guys. And they like help you move, even if you didn't give them pizza. And you're like, I thought you were going to be scary because you listen to songs that are all about screaming. But the horror community is very similar. It's like we get all the demons out watching the scary movies, and then we don't have anything left for each other. So we're like, how are you doing?
Yeah, you guys watch people getting stabbed. We listen to people getting stabbed. It's like the same thing, right?
Yeah.
So real quick, we have a Callisto Chan saying, woo, you already hit goal. Congrats. Kamorian King saying congrats as well. Callisto Chan, it was 666 last I checked this morning. Holy crap, good thing we got past that number, the mark of the beast. So
let's try to get to 6666. That'd be fun.
Oh yeah, hey, there is another goal to hit. So real quick, let's check out some of these tiers. You guys can get a digital copy of this for $12, 52 pages. You can get the early bird special for 18, a signed copy of the book for 35, a remarked for 60, and then get everything at 75 for an early bird special. So some awesome tiers right there. Retail bundles as well. I mean, so what's in the everything bundle? That's just everything that's included above.
So it includes the book itself. So it's going to be signed and it's going to have a sketch in it. So that's like cool. But also I'm making some stickers. I'm going to show you a picture of the stickers. I guess I can't. Oh, but anyway, it'll also include vinyl stickers. There'll be some art prints. I believe there's 3 art prints, and they're like my 3 favorite pictures. So they'll be like big, high quality art prints. At least 2 vinyl stickers. I'm actually designing some more.
If you had an image, you could. There's a thing in the bottom. It says present. If you click it in, it should. One of those options should give you the share screen option for the image.
Good. I'm sorry. I'm looking like
you're
talking to you.
Yeah, you're fine. You're fine. No worries.
Yeah, I was like, I'll just share that. Oh, it's small. No. Yeah, there it is. Now it's normal size. But yes, so I'm making some stickers. Oh, and I've made some original art too.
Hmm.
So this is hand done art, ink on paper. So I usually work digital, but for this campaign proper, I also made several ink and gouache paintings
Hmm.
relating to the story. But also, there's a $250 tier commission, so you can get me to draw whatever you want for that. I'll draw you
Oh
whatever you
yeah,
want.
yeah, yeah.
But,
That is awesome.
that's one of the things. But I was trying really to focus on the art book proper because
Hmm.
I know that like it's I don't want to get in the weeds and like spread out too far away because the book is like so important to me, and I'm like I just really want it to be good. So
Hmm.
I told the Zoop guys, I'm like, for our first go, I want to just hone in on the book, make it gorgeous, and then like we'll have some goodies attached. But honestly, I wasn't expecting it to fund so quickly. So now I'm talking to the guys and I'm like, we're gonna make some more goodies and add it to the bottom. So we're making more stuff. So we're definitely gonna have some more. But what I want with the art book is I really wanted to show everybody what the project is going to be. Yeah, you can see some of the art. I'm really digging it.
I love it. Like
thank
I
you.
remember when Jordan was first trying to set this up, he was like, "Are you taking March off?" I was like, "No, am I booked out?" And I guess I was booked out. So my apologies on that the first time around. But
No, I'm glad you were able to have me.
yeah, when he sent me these images, I was like, I have to get you on. Like this is like, you know, when I was talking earlier, just like, you know, the grayscale and just the colors that you use, just like it's so impactful and vibrant.
Thank
But
you.
that you say the butterflies are evil. Like this right here, they look like they're good. It's hard to believe they're sinister.
Yeah, well, you know what's funny with them is I would say that even some of the butterflies themselves would think of themselves as good. So they wouldn't disagree with you necessarily. But I really like the idea of in nature there are different kinds of camouflage, right? There's
Hmm.
a kind of camouflage that makes you think stay away. There's a kind of camouflage that makes you think that's the ground or a leaf, that's not my food. And then there's the kind of camouflage that on purpose draws another animal in and to trick them or to utilize them in some way. And I draw a lot of inspiration from nature in general. So like I was looking at all these things that nature often mixes beauty and horror completely, like
Hmm.
way more than an artist does. Like when I was hiking the Appalachian Trail, I came across a dead deer carcass that was covered in blue butterflies that were drinking the blood. And I was like, this is so scary and so pretty and so gross. And it struck me
I didn't know
viscerally.
they drank blood.
Yeah, yeah. And they'll drink any liquid they can get, and they migrate together. So you can have a flock of butterflies drinking blood.
Like, what if
And
they ever like eat people? Like that would be terrifying.
it would be. Their proboscises, their little noses, they're too weak. They can't puncture you, so you're safe. If you're actively bleeding, they might.
It's
If you're
like flying
"My
like
wounds!"
leeches.
Yeah, but that image was like, it was very striking because nature mixes beauty and horror without any sense to a human aesthetic.
Hmm.
It doesn't care about what we think is pretty or ugly. It just is, and we happen to find things pretty or ugly. And nature is really cool because all it wants to do is continue to exist, right? It wants to propagate or maintain its own existence. And parasites are very fascinating, which is what the whole thing is kind of inspired by. Because I was thinking about a parasite, because with a carnivore kills you and eats you, right? But a
Mhm.
parasite doesn't want you to die. It wants to live in you. It wants you to be its house and it provide it food. It has a vested interest in your well-being. Parasites often give off like chemicals that make us, not necessarily us, but the host animal, not want to reject it or dig it out. Maybe it gets a soothing feeling, or it'll just be sleepy, so it won't be
Mhm.
interested in doing that. I also found out, this is very cool, but human fetuses also do this. So the placenta. This is wild. Okay, so I'm sorry. I would
No,
talk about horror forever.
I love where this is going. Like,
But like what you see is like beauty and horror are
Mhm.
together to me. That's what, like, when you look at my art, I get very happy that you think it's beautiful, because that means I'm doing it right. Like I'm very pleased that my goal is being attained. But I'll just tell you really quick. A placenta is an organ that is grown to hide the fetus from the parent's autoimmune system, because your autoimmune system recognizes that there's foreign DNA in your body and is trying to fix it. What does the fetus do? It grows a placenta. And the placenta is basically a shield or an umbrella being like, there's no baby back here, right? But not only that, when you're pregnant, you're full of positive hormones that make you love this thing that's draining your bones and your blood and utilizing your food and tricking you into thinking it has your DNA exactly. So it's like, isn't that interesting? Like it's upsetting, but it's kind of fascinating and kind of beautiful. And like, if you sit in the feeling of feeling weird about it for a moment, it passes, and then it just is kind of fascinating and inspiring. I don't know. Like, so I'm really drawn to how symbiote and parasitism and body horror, it's all like intertwined to me. So
there's a thing with cats that there's a parasite that will get into a cat that will transfer. That's when, if you're pregnant, it's just a lot of pregnancy happening in this interview, but if you're pregnant, you're not supposed to clean a litter box because that parasite will transfer to the fetus.
Yes, I think it's called like toxoplasmosis.
Yes. Yes, just a wild scenario there, and cats are cuddly, they purr. I mean, you would.
Yeah. And what's really weird is I've heard that toxoplasmosis in really, really high amounts can make you feel positive and affectionate.
It draws you to cats, like you like.
It's like a loop. It's like you're pulled to the cats, and the cats are making you pull to.
So real quick, go ahead.
No, I was having fun. You're a delightful interviewer.
We had Callisto Chan saying, "Don't let the balloons fool you." Above when the person was holding the balloons out, and then today I learned butterflies drink blood. Not the factoid I expect from this interview, but somehow very on brand. Well, speaking of that, guys, right here is the link. Be sure to pack this campaign today. If you're unable to, simply putting it on Twitter, Facebook, anywhere you can. Word of mouth is 100% free. Real quick before we leave these interiors, I want to ask, how do you create your art? Is it traditional? Do you use it, digital means? Like, it's just so vibrant. Like right here, it's just so gorgeous. Like, what's your technique with this?
So for a lot of it, like some of the earlier pieces were more closer to collage. I love collage, but I try to. I was trained with traditional art, and I kind of basically taught myself digital. But I learned traditional art, and I love the textures of like charcoal and ink, and I love the textures again in like collage. Like if you take like a really macro shot of like cloth and it has that like roughness to it. So what I tend to do is I utilize the way I learned to draw, which is like brush and pen. I draw very similarly on my Cintiq computer. I tilt it up, draw like I'm drawing on a canvas. So it's like a very similar physical mechanization. But I then go back in Photoshop and I try to recreate a lot of the textures that I like. So with the black and white, I'm like trying to kind of evoke that rougher line quality sometimes of like an ink pen or a charcoal stick, or I'm trying to evoke more like old school photography. So I like to use a lot of like speckly brushes too lately. Like before I was using really basic stuff. Like I would just use a flat round brush, but with the other happy place, the texture and tone are really important. So like I've been experimenting a lot with. So what I'll do is like, I'll draw a figure and then I'll get a texture, like a cloth texture, and then I'll turn it into black and white. And then I'll wrap the cloth texture with a warp tool around what I drew, kind of filling it in. But instead of filling in with a color, I'll fill it in with a texture. And then I'll go on top of that and paint it in and out. It's a lot of layering and a lot of experimenting to see what gives you a glow. Because the glow is really important to me, even more than like, the glow and the shadows are like really important and vital. So like, I will a lot of times mess with the lighting at the very last step until it really, really pops. Which is one thing that's really good about working in grayscale is you can tell when something is not working right away, because with colors, you can kind of get deceived with how the values and the depth and the composition is going. Black and white forces you to see like, that's too dark, that's too bright, fix it. So usually by the end, I'll have done a lot of corrections. I don't care too much about being exactly real. It's more about the mood. So like if the shadows don't make 100% sense, I don't really care about that. But if they look freaky and scary, that's good. Yeah.
I just love, because like right here, for instance, it almost feels like it's like a hallucination, like in the colors, like the blurriness, it feels like it's like a light trail is like coming off of the butterfly. It was just the way you executed. It's just, you could tell a lot of work went into this, and hearing you kind of break down, how you did it is just, it's it is remarkable. So real quick, after going through the campaign, checking out all these awesome tiers and everything in between, what would you like to say to anyone who might be on the fence about backing, if you just had like a few moments to kind of address that?
Okay. Well, it's over 52 pages. It's all like highly glossy, beautiful art. I think the story is just really going to be really fun. I'm very excited for all the bits that like I haven't really gotten to post online. My friend Kaylin Sandell, she's my narrative like collaborator, and she is coming up with all these really great concepts that I'm putting into the story and putting them into the book proper. But basically, it'll give you an overview of the whole world that I'm making. It's almost like a show Bible where it's like you get to see the creatures and what the world looks like and what some of the characters are. I want it to like a sample meal. Like you're gonna get all this. So like, but basically, I think it's a very beautiful book. I made some. My goal with it was like I want something that people would be happy they put it on their shelf. That's what I always think about. I never want anybody to feel like they wasted their time or their money. So I put a lot of effort into the product myself. And the Zoop people made it so nice too. I was like shocked by how beautiful and nice the printing quality of their books was. I was like, we got to work together. This is so cool. But yeah, the book's going to be high quality. It's going to be gorgeous. And like I said, it's like an introduction for all these things I want to do. But the next big part of it will be a webcomic. So you'll see this. This is going to be like the introduction to the webcomic. So that's that's the next step. Yeah.
That's a perfect segue for us. I was about to ask what is next for you in 2023. So, I mean, you have a webcomic coming out as well?
Yes. So I have two big things coming out in 2023. The other one is the graphic novel I was talking about, the mermaid one. That's actually coming out. I think the website says tomorrow, but unfortunately, I think it's next month. Publishing goes a little slow sometimes. That's how it goes. But that's one big thing. But beyond that, with The Other Happy Place, I'm really fully launching into making it a proper comic. I want to be uploading like regular updates as much as I can because my health has been doing better, and I'm like, let's strike while the iron's hot. Let's go.
Yeah,
so, like, but I'm very excited to make the comic proper because it really is going to heavily involve the characters that I've just been like hinting at with the world building. And I'm just like, oh, you guys are going to like them so much. Things are going to get so crazy. I get to show all these concepts that I've been like hinting at and like really start ramping them up. So I'm excited to do that. But one thing I'm really excited for with the comic format is I'm doing one more experiment because I'm the most extra woman in the world. As I'm drawing the comic, I'm having my friends voice act the dialogue.
Oh, that's
and
cool.
I'm going to make it into a video format too. So my goal is to put it online as a webcomic, but then also like mirror it to websites like TikTok and YouTube and like 1 minute segments that you can catch up what happened this week and you can watch it. Yeah.
That's so cool. I love that. We have some hype over on YouTube as well. Ashton Van Gate, Jessi, if I ever get rich, can I like pay you by the hour to hyperfixate to me about parasites and other awful things? Your passion is contagious and deeply endearing. Callisto Chan, oh yeah, a comic. I knew there was sort of an illustrated novel, but I didn't realize there was a comic. Yeah, a lot of hype, a lot of love from your supporters as well.
You're so sweet. I love them.
Yeah, that is so awesome. So, Jessi, before we let you go, I always love ending the podcast on a strong note, and that is where I get to ask you for a little bit of advice for anyone who might be out there listening, maybe looking to get into creating comics, or maybe seasoned and kind of just, lost motivation. So, for anyone out there looking to find their stride within their art, I think this is a great question for you because it seems like you have found your stride and you just have ran with it. What would be some of your advice for helping them achieve that? Just finding their style and the uniqueness within that.
I have some different thoughts than I think a lot of people do. So take my advice with a grain of salt, but here, I'll give it to you as squarely as I can. Be self-indulgent. Appease yourself. Make yourself toys. Make yourself things that make your brain go brrr. I'm serious. When I make a book, I think I want to make something I would be excited if I saw on a shelf. Not that I made it, that I'm like, ooh, I need this. So a lot of times with art, it's not only, campaigns don't always go well, right? Maybe nobody's reading your comic, right? That can be very discouraging. Art takes so much personal energy and so much time. It's a big investment. So it can be really hard when you're like putting together all this stuff and it seems like nobody cares. How do you get around that? You can't make other people care, right? I can make myself care if I make something I care about. So I'm like, all right, no matter what, if I make something I like, I'm not losing because I just invented a toy that I get to play with for free. That's cool. That gives me so much more inspiration and power than like put in the hours, just sit down and do it. Because I don't know about you, but like I have ADHD and I always had a hard time with homework. And especially if somebody was like, sit down and do it. Like even when yourself is saying sit down and do it, it's not, you're gonna have a hard time. So like cut yourself some slack, make it fun. Anywhere you can, make it fun. 2, encourage your peers. A lot of times when people are starting out, they try to get the attention of somebody like really famous, which I totally understand. Sometimes that can be a big break, but a lot of times where your breaks come from is your peers, other people who have no followers, other people who are making projects that maybe nobody's really looking at. Look at their projects, give them comments, share their work. You will build a community and it will have intense value. Like it will pay back dividends, either just like emotionally, but also networking. Like, sometimes what happens is I'll be offered a job and I'll be like, oh, I'm too full. Oh, I know who can do it. Becky. And I'll just be like, Becky, do you want to do this? And you see what I mean? It's not even nepotism. It's like you built a network of people who know your work, know you're good, and know you're consistent. And now they have your name in their head. Also, the people you come up with are the people who are going to be the most like excited for your successes. And I would always say, be very excited for other people. I think that's something that happens a lot in the arts is we get hurt when we don't have a success that somebody else might have. And that can divide us, which is not good. But artists, we're already on the bottom of the totem pole. We need to stick together. So my opinion is that a rising tide raises all ships, right? So like if you see somebody and they got a book deal or they got a TV show, or maybe just everybody likes their webcomic, instead of, you can let yourself feel jealous, just feel it and then like let it go. But like instead of feeling bad, think of it like, wow, that's a possibility that exists that wasn't there before, and they've made a path. And now that's a possibility. Like there are movies based off of webcomics. When I was a kid, webcomics were made in MS Paint, and they were posted on Keen Spot, and they were the comics that nobody wanted. Like, do you know what I mean? Like that you couldn't get a gig anywhere, and so you would make a webcomic. And slowly but surely, webcomics have become such a big deal that they're getting movie deals now and TV shows. I mean, like, that's nuts. But like, not that that's the end goal, but it's like, with the arts, it's not a race, it's like a long journey. So it's like, don't worry so much if you're not hitting your big goals. Make stuff, put it out there as consistently as you can. Be very kind to your peers. I know that sounds really obvious, but like, I think being nice and friendly and genuinely telling people when I really care about their work has been just as fun as like anything else that's happened that's been good. I've made like a set of, I would say like 10 friends that I wouldn't trade any amount of fame or money for. And if I had been like aiming to only be friends with famous people, I would have missed out on this incredibly valuable set of friends. You know what I mean?
I 100% do. I often get asked all the time. It's like, because I try to interview everyone of every caliber. Whether you have a following of one person or 500,000. To me, like if you have a comic, you have a voice. Everything cool?
Yeah, I just dropped my water.
Do you need to clean it up?
No.
Okay. So for me, like if you have a comic, you have a voice, that voice deserves to be heard. So I will interview pretty much anyone who wants to come on as long as you have a book. And it's been so important because like these friendships I've built with people, someone might not have gave a second chance to or look, and I built I have blossomed great friendships from this. And yes, 100% what you're saying is true. Like those people have my back. Like when I'm commenting on Twitter, they're like the first 10 people to like my stuff, share my stuff. Yes. Jessi, thank you so much for the awesome chat. This has been an awesome time. Yes, absolutely. We have my good friend. Yes, please. We have my good friend Chris Moses dropping in last minute. Thank you so much, Chris. Everyone watching right here is the link for the last time. Be sure to check it out. This campaign just went live. You have 30 more days. Get in on the hype while you still can. That being said, it is time for us to wrap up. I hope you all have a lovely Monday, but most importantly, keep it geekly.
Keep it geekly.